What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Lucky Bounce. Today I'm going to be making a tier list of all of the shoes I've worn for volleyball, which includes the good and the bad. This video is going to be a very brief overview of each of the shoes, so if you want a more in-depth, detailed look at like some of the better shoes on this list, I can do that in a different video. But for this video, I'm just keeping it short, like just my overall experiences with the shoe. So starting off, I'm going to start with the first shoe I ever did for volleyball, which I would not recommend at all, Air Force Ones. And this is because when I first started volleyball, I did not know you were supposed to have different shoes on the court than you did just walking around. These shoes did not have any impact protection or anything. I wore these when I was like 12, and I think that is why I had knee pain for years. So I'm going to throw that in F. No offense to Air Force Ones. Okay, so next up we got the Adidas Ligra 7. I didn't actually wear these that much. I felt like the heel lockdown wasn't great, but I think traction was fine. It's just not like nothing stood out to me with this shoe. I didn't keep it for that long. Next I have these black Nike Huraches, which we're finally starting to get a little bit more of a court / like basketball shoe, but these were still not volleyball or basketball shoes really, but they were pretty soft and light, which I did like. My dad recommended them to me, and this was still before I got into like actually getting shoes. So I'm gonna throw this C, but below the Ligra 7 because that's actually a court shoe. Okay, next I have the Nike Airmax Impact 4 over here. And these were actually pretty good. I thought that I got some good bounce out of them. I think impact protection wasn't perfect. That's why I still was getting some, knee problems when I was wearing these, but they were definitely better than the other ones. I think for now I'll put them low C, but I could also see them high C. I could also see them being low B. And then next I had Nike Lebron NXXT Gen. And these were actually a really good, not budget option, but budget compared to stuff like the WoW 10 or higher tier Lebrons. I think the next gen were made as a cheaper version of the Lebron 20, if I remember correct. So it was basically the same as the Lebron 20, but without the carbon fiber plate. And I actually really liked these. They helped preserve my knees when I played middle for 15 AAUs, which was interesting. But these had really good traction. They were really comfortable. It's a thing I've noticed with all Lebrons I've worn, is that they're very, like padded and comfortable on your foot. And lockdown is also really good. The lace quality was really good. But I think these just, I don't know, they were just a little bit heavy, and they didn't have the stuff that kind of made up for the heaviness that, I'll go into detail with when I get to the Lebron 21s about that. But I'm going to put these B, and I'm actually going to move these down to C. So then next I have the, I think, Wade All City 12s, which, I don't know, I personally just did not like the way that these fit my foot. I have kind of wide feet, but not super wide feet, but I don't know. It just felt like there was like space between the toe, but not the kind of space that I like. I don't know exactly how to explain that. And they just felt too rigid. I don't know, it didn't feel like it fit my foot well, and like, I don't know. I'm still gonna put it B because it's a pretty good shoe. It's pretty light. It's a good budget for Way of Wade shoes. It's an All City. Like, All City's less expensive than the actual Way of Wade model. But I'm definitely gonna put it below the LeBron Next Gen. Then we're gonna go over to the Mizuno Wave Momentum 3. And this is the first actual volleyball shoe on this list that I would recommend for you to buy. I would recommend the next gens, but that's like a basketball shoe. So if you're looking at like purely volleyball specific shoe, this is definitely one of the first ones I'd say you should buy this shoe. It is a little expensive. I think I got it for around $150. I don't exactly remember how much they sell for. But this shoe is super light. I really liked the cushion on it. It has a, like, the tongue of it is actually connected to, like, it's all just one piece. It's not like separate from the sides of the shoe, which I actually liked. I thought it kind of prevented that rubbing against the top of your foot that I get with some other shoes. But yeah, these shoes are great. I liked the traction a lot. I liked the way it fit my foot. It's more rounded at the end as opposed to pointed, which for me gives you more just space with your toes, and I prefer that when I'm planting. So yeah, this shoe I'm definitely gonna put A tier. Next up, I'm gonna go over to one of the most famous shoes in the volleyball/basketball. It's a little less popular with basketball, actually. I think it's a little bit more volleyball specific, but the Way of Wade 10, which, you know, this is a very pricey shoe. I think it's like $210. This is the Way of Wade 10 low, so I think that's actually around $200. But this is a very good shoe. It's super lightweight. It has a carbon fiber plate, which gives you a lot of response on jumping and also just planting. I think this shoe is really good for honestly all positions, even though it's like kind of marketed more for jumping. I think Libs could utilize the benefits of this shoe, but that being said, you don't need to break the bank for this shoe if you feel like you don't need all of the like tech, like expensive tech that's in this shoe, because you can get a lot of really good shoes as a libero that, you know, you don't need a carbon fiber plate, you just need good lockdown, good traction. That's kind of it. But this shoe is really good, and that's just, you know, kind of apparent in how popular it is. But I will put it S tier. It's not the best shoe I've worn though, so stay tuned for that. Next up, I have the Jordan 36 Low Infrared colorway. I really liked the bounce and cushion on these. I thought it was a really responsive shoe, but the lockdown just didn't feel great, and I found myself having to just keep retying them because it just felt like, I don't know, it felt like it just was kind of sliding off my foot. Traction was pretty good, but yeah, the lockdown and kind of the lack of good court feel just kind of made these shoes feel a little bit unstable, even though the cushion was really good. I'm gonna still put these, I think, I'll put them B tier. They're around the same as the next gen, but just slightly different issues. So I'll put them, I think they're kind of tied, even though they accomplish different things. Then I have the Way of Wade 12 Encores, which I actually liked a little bit more than the Way of Wade 12s, but I still just felt like they were heavy for the lack of tech that they have. I'll go into detail about the GT Cut 3 in a second, but that's a shoe where I feel like it's lightweight because of the lack of tech. But with the Way of Wade 12 Encores, they just felt bulky, and they didn't have the tech to make up for that bulk. But the lockdown and traction were pretty good, similar to the normal Wade All City 12s. But I don't know, I will definitely put it above the Wade All City 12, but it just didn't impress me much. I felt like when I was jumping, it just weighed me down. I do like how it looks though, so I will give it that. Next, I have the GT Cut 3, which, as I just mentioned, super lightweight shoe. This was the first Nike shoe to use this new cushioning. I think it's called Zoom Air Foam or something like that. But it's a super lightweight shoe, and it doesn't have really any, like, it doesn't have like a carbon fiber plate or anything, but these are one of the best shoes I've actually worn for jumping. I just felt like they locked my foot down pretty well. I will note there's a little bit of heel slippage, which was a little bit annoying, but the traction was really good. Impact protection was really good, and bounce was also really good. So I would throw these honestly around the same as the Way of Wade 10, if not for that heel slippage. And the Way of Wade 10 just has such good lockdown that I just don't think I could put it on par with it. I'm gonna throw this in A tier because I think it's around the same as the Wave Momentum 3 in just overall performance. But I think it's definitely one of the best lightweight shoes you can get for just, I think it's a little bit cheaper than the Way of Wade 10. But if you're already spending around that much money, I would just go for a shoe like the Way of Wade 10 or the one I'll get to last, which, you know, if you have the money, I would definitely recommend. But you know, yeah, if you're on a budget, I definitely go for something more like the Jordan 36s because I got mine for like $100. I bought them resold online in like good condition for literally like $100. Next, I have the Nike Lebron 21s, which I'm gonna still put in A tier, but I think I would put them below these other two because they were just so heavy. And for me, I'm a shorter outside who I need speed, and I need like reactive shoes that don't weigh me down and make me feel like a slower. But these are really good shoes. They're super padded, they're super comfortable, just like the next gen, and they just have more tech. So, you know, I think they're around the same weight as the next gen, probably a little heavier actually, because of like they have like a leather upper as opposed to the kind of woven thin synthetic upper that the next gen had. But the Nike LeBron 21s are super good. Traction was really good, comfort really good, impact protection really good, balance really good. They're just too heavy for me to throw them above something like the GT Cut 3, which is the opposite as this last shoe, the Li-Ning Gamma 1. And before I tell you about how good this shoe is, I want you to know I don't think you should buy this shoe unless you absolutely have the money to spend on it and are just burning money. But it is a excellent shoe. This is definitely the best shoe I've ever worn for volleyball. It's basically just like a improved WOW 10. I love this shoe. It's super lightweight, just like the Wave 10. It has a carbon fiber plate, but I just feel like Lockdown is even better. And I really like the way this shoe has a little bit more space in the toe. I went half a size up for this one, which I also did for the Wave 10. But at the end of life for the Wave 10, I felt like not only did the insole start to give out, but it just started hurting the sides of my feet, which I don't know exactly why that is. But the Li-Ning Gamma 1, I don't have that issue with. And I think I got them both 10.5. I'm like a size 10 for most shoes, but for these two, I went half a size up because they're both very form-fitting shoes. And I heard that it would be good to go half a size up for just general comfort. And I would definitely recommend that when you're buying both of these shoes, if your feet are even just a little bit wider than like standard. So pros of the Li-Ning Gamma 1 are it's super responsive, it's super lightweight, and the lockdown is really good, and traction is really good. So really everything I want in a shoe, which is why it's my favorite shoe of all time. If you're a heavier player, I definitely recommend something more like the LeBron 21 because it's made for bigger guys that need more strength as opposed to speed to get more like power on their jump. And the Li-Ning Gamma 1 is very expensive and it's kind of difficult to get because you have to outsource it from China. But with that being said, this is my full list. If you do want any more in-depth reviews on any of these shoes, I've played in, okay, maybe not the Air Forces, but I will make an in-depth review on any shoes that you guys want me to. Just let me know in the comments, and I hope this was helpful and just, maybe picking your next shoe. So, have a good one.